Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Halifax Raiders Draft a Quarry franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we had the season simulation, and as you can see, we had our best season yet. Well, you actually can't see right now. We did have 20 wins this year, and also Mauricio Wilm hit 101 points, which was absolutely awesome. We got some really good production from our top guys, so that is really good to see, considering this top line should be together for quite some time. As you can see, also Alan Lehman did really good with 40 goals and 84 points, and Liam Ahinen won the Calder with 76 points in his first season. So very much like this top line, and hopefully we can keep it together for these guys' entire career, because these are the type of guys you want to build your team around. Hopefully we don't get into money trouble because of the three of them, but even if we do, I would rather sacrifice depth to hold them all together in a way. So very excited to see what they obviously do in the upcoming seasons. But anyways, before we get into the draft in the entire offseason and looking to add some more pieces to our puzzle, I do have to go through a lot of comments. So let's get into our comment mode here and get through those comments. So the first one is from Nick Bacher Barnes OC, who says Maddox Boys is the number 2 pick in my opinion. 28 points as a defenseman in the A+ league is insane. Not to mention he is 6'5", an absolute stud muffin. Those are the type of players you bet on, and a lot of other guys were agreeing with that. Boys definitely needs to be our pick, because we do need the defensive help, obviously, because we don't have a lot of good defenders at this stage. But Maddox Boys looks like he's going to be that type of guy we need. We don't have a two-way defenseman really in our lineup that's at least good overall wise, so Maddox Boys would be a great one to build up on our D core a little bit with those defensive defensemen we have currently. And yeah, hopefully then we could be a better defensive team next season. So yeah, basically there was a lot of people that were saying to take Boys. So like Michael Dose was saying about taking Boys. Fresh Bread was also saying to take Boys. And then also when I was talking to Saturn Otaku in the Discord, he was saying also to take Boys. So Boys is likely going to be our pick at number 2. The next comment is from Ezra Hamburg, who says the Halifax Raiders wrap up their 4th season with a franchise record of 27, 289, and 12. Slowly but surely inching their way closer and closer to making it a somewhat decent record. And yeah, we won 20 games this year, but 27, 289, like we literally have, I'd say, yeah, like 10 times as much losses as we do wins at the moment, which is kind of nuts. So hopefully we could get to a point where we're closer to 500. I don't know if we're ever going to get over 500. It depends if we win President's trophies and all that. But yeah, it's definitely going to take some time before that record actually starts to look respectable. The next comment is from Saturn Otaku, who says maybe Sharov will be like Mika Vico was in Anchorage, a guy who turns out to be a solid overall producer on a very cheap contract. Also, Wilm's stats are even more impressive when you consider that the entire team scored just 1 goal in the final 5 games of the season. So yeah, that's pretty insane. About the last 5 games of the season, we only had 1 goal as a team, and he still had over 100 points. And when he was mentioning about Sharov being like Mika Vico, that's exactly why I banked on him at that point, because Mika Vico in my Anchorage series, he was a guy that had really good shooting categories. Wasn't a high flashy potential, but he had great shooting categories, good offensive awareness. So I gave him like an 8-year deal, and he was giving us like 30 goals a season on a very cheap contract. So that's why I was giving Sharov that type of 8-year deal, is because of that same thing. Like when I saw Sharov having really good passing stats, good offensive awareness, I was legit thinking exactly of Mika Vico at that point. So I'm hoping that Sharov can be like that. He's got the offensive awareness, the passing stats to be a good player. It's now all about just putting him with the right talent around him, and he should be able to produce. And if he even doesn't, then he could still be a solid, like, serviceable player that might be in and out of our lineup, depending if we need to slot him in on an offensive line, or if we want him more as like a 3rd, 4th line type of option. And the last comment also addresses that, which is from Shankly Mania, who says, even if Sharov doesn't become a complete stud, that contract is very decent for a 4th liner. Awesome season and way ahead of its time. The first line will dominate for a long time, mark my words. And yeah, I think this up line definitely can, as long as we're able to keep it together. So likely we're going to have to give up some really big contracts to those guys in the coming seasons, because I think, yeah, already Layman, his contract will be coming to an end at the end of next season, so likely to start the season I'll have to give him an 8-year deal as well, because obviously we need him locked up after a 40-goal season. And then soon enough, we'll also have our young center in Ahinen to re-sign as well. But anyways, those were the comments I got in last episode. So let's get into this offseason and see if we could add some pretty good pieces to our team. And also, hopefully with the young guys that are needing to be re-signed, hopefully we could get them on some good contracts. And decently long-term too, because obviously we want to trust in the youth movement going forward. So let's hop into this draft and take boys with our second overall pick. Sucks that we didn't win the draft lottery again this year, but I think it might be helpful for us in a way because of the fact, obviously you don't want to have too much elite players or else eventually like the money just keeps piling and piling up. But if we're able to grab some random steals in later rounds that develop into being something like a Sherov, for example, those will help us in the long run quite a bit. So let's see what Vegas takes at 1. They should be hypothetically taking one of those centers at the first pick. And yeah, they do. They take Nichols, the power forward. So there is Terry Nichols. What a name. Terry Nichols. Yeah, this guy's going to be a good player. He's got good defensive awareness as well for a power forward. All around, this guy's going to be a stud and likely going to be up there goal scoring wise with Wilm and all that during the later years of this franchise mode. There's been a lot of good snipers and power forwards going in these first few years, so I think there's going to be a lot of good goal scoring in the league. So now we're going to take the defenseman. Technically, there is that two-way forward above us, but I honestly don't think it really makes sense for us to take a center almost anyways. And obviously, like I was mentioned, we need a defensive help. Technically, we already have 2 good right defensemen, so it would be making more sense for us to grab a left defenseman, and that's why we would be taking Maddox Boys over somebody like Moises Weimer or over Joseph Commodore. So Maddox Boys from Litvinov in the Czech Republic. Let's see how good you are. He's also from Hungary, which is oddly enough where Avery Parrott was from in my Anchorage series. So this guy might end up being a channel legend. Who knows? He's an 80 overall. That's pretty good. He's one of our top defensemen at this point. He's already listed as a top 6, which is good. Great defensive stats like shot blocking is good. His stick checking is good as well. Good defensive awareness. Solid offensive awareness. Good passing. His shot power is also really good. Not the most accurate yet, but it could definitely get there. And he's got good skating for a defenseman too, so I like that a lot. He's not the most physical guy for his size, but he does have the strength and the body checking to being an all-around really solid defenseman. So there is Maddox Boys. We'll definitely take a look at what his face looks like in near the end of this episode, because obviously I like to put a face to the name. Let me actually see how good those other guys were after Boys. Weimer was only a 77. I'm surprised he went at 3rd, because Bufflin was the guy that was looking like he was being number 2. Commodore went at 4. Okay. So I guess we made the right choice, even if it wasn't necessarily what we needed. Or it is what we needed in a way. Like, even if I went, yeah, I think we would have went with the right call regardless, because Bufflin's only an 80 overall as well. It's weird, because that first part of the draft, like, you couldn't really tell who was supposed to go where. And turns out we have technically the second best overall player in this draft, and that's Boys. I didn't expect Weimer and Commodore to be lower overall-wise and Bufflin to drop to 5, but he goes to San Jose. So there's that. Let's see if there's any other first-round steals for a little bit of something extra, because sometimes I forget about doing this. But some of you guys want to know about these type of things. So I'm not seeing any huge low-elite steals or anything here. Oh, there's one. There's a low-elite steal that would have been nice. Nelson Volk. A 2-way defenseman, looks really solid on paper. That's a good pick for the auto centers at 21. But yeah, the rest of this first round not looking the best with all these top 6Ds and top 9 forwards going. Like, we might not get really much in the rest of these rounds, but hopefully we can find some more good defensemen. Let's see, Vlasic, 3 years out. He's probably a top 6D. 4 years out for Keane makes me think he's not a top 16. He might be a low elite. I'm going to pin him in case, but he also could be a top 6 defenseman. I think we need to prioritize defenders here, but there's potentially like maybe a top 6 forward here in Dan Mason. These later rounds are definitely going to be tougher for us to figure out who's the best player to take. Was there any low elites at this stage? There was more who I pinned, but I don't know. I'll come back to him in a little bit here while we have time. I feel like it would be best for us to get more defenders, but if they're only top 6, I don't know if it's worth it. Let's see who we have pinned at the moment. A lot of guys. Damn, I wish it would be not so much. So Keane, he only has a couple B stats. I think we gotta, but 4 years out makes me feel like he's low elite, but he could honestly just be a top 6 defenseman, which wouldn't be worth it. Dan Mason looks pretty good, and he could also play left side, not just center. And then you have Moore, who looks pretty solid. Damn, we're already into the final 30 seconds of my pick already? God damn, man. Holy crap, okay. Yeah, I think we're going to go with Dan Mason here. Technically, we need defenders, but I'm going to go with Mason, and hopefully that defender's not low elite. Medium top 6 forward, that's a pretty good pick. Okay, I wasn't sure if he was going to be a top 6 or a top 9 because of those top 9s late in the first round, but that's a great pick there in Dan Mason. Obviously more of a project player at this stage, but maybe a few years in the CHL, or we play him in the NHL right away because he could technically fit in our lineup, and he'll be good. He might play next season just because of the fact that we're trying to wean out those bottom 6 forwards that we drafted back in like year 1. I like that pick still, even though there was a defender on the board. Glenn was low elite. Oh. Okay, maybe we didn't make the right pick necessarily. I mean, it's not a bad trade-off because we got one overall better. We got a sniper. They got a low elite 2-way forward, but yeah, that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks a lot. And Keane was only a top 60. That's why I didn't take him. That's why I didn't take him. Technically, we could use somebody like that still, but I didn't think it was worth it because he wasn't a guaranteed low elite. If he was a low elite for sure, I would have taken him, but there is a low top 4 guaranteed, and there's also some other guys here that we have pinned. Oh yeah, McLaren, I forgot about him. 3 years out, might be low elite. Do I take a chance on him because of the fact he might be low elite? He's only 2 bars, so he might not be. He might be a low top 4 as well. This draft class really isn't that good in terms of depth, I think. I'd be leaning more towards Keller, I feel like, because he might be closer to being a low elite. But we do need defensive help. This guy's not guaranteed to have those abilities, but it would be really nice if he was that good, because we do need left defenders. The question is he actually a low elite? Like, I wish I had multiple picks in this round somehow, or multiple picks in each draft for each round. Because I want to take a chance technically on McLaren, but I also like Keller's stats a little bit. But he's not necessarily as much what we need. We do still need depth scoring, don't get me wrong, but we do need defensemen. If this guy's a gem, I feel like he's got to be a low elite, right? Because I don't think there would be a low top 4 list as a gem. I just don't think that. So we're going to take a chance with the defender just because we need more defensemen. So Daniel McLaren, welcome aboard. Please be low elite. Low top 4. God damn, man. That's not great. I have seen low top 4s pan out before, but it's not great. Considering Keller might be a low elite. I'm not really sold on this pick, but this guy still might develop into being something because he likely plays on our blue line next season because he's got more potential than like the low 7th Ds and all that. So I don't mind it, but it sucks when there could have been a low elite that goes next. And it wasn't a low elite. Okay, Keller was only a low 6. So that makes me feel a little bit better about our choice because we at least address something we need. But I mean, Reiner Keller looks okay for a low 6, but is he going to develop into being an actual legit top 6 forward? Tough to say. Considering we had a low top 9 develop into being really good, anything could happen in this series, I guess. Caleb Calico or Vesas Saarinen? If we want to go for more defenders, Saarinen's already 20 years old, which isn't ideal. I don't mind the look of Calico. Or Calico, whatever you want to call him. We do have Sonnenberg pinned for goalies, who might be an elite goaltender. You know what, let's take a goalie here, because we could always use more goaltending, and then we could get rid of Gar, so that way we have 4 of our goalies we drafted. So, Sonnenberg, welcome aboard. He is medium elite. Okay, that's nice. That's a solid pick there. Obviously, some medium elite goalies don't pan out, but he might be that type of goalie that does. I like that. I like that a lot. So he'll likely play in the AHL next year, even though he's a low overall. And we just got to hope for some really good growth from him, and maybe he can become that guy for us. Sam Ranford might be 4 years out. He's kind of intriguing. I don't think we need any more goalies in this draft. Oh, Magnus Lack actually looks pretty good overall-wise. He is 4 years out as a fringe starter, but he's 19. That's probably why he's got high overall ratings, is because he's 19 already. He's probably like a 60-something overall fringe starter. But do I really want to have 5 goaltenders? Because I probably would have to leave one of them unsigned for the year. Like the late goaltender, maybe we leave him unsigned for a full year if I draft Lack. But him being 19 already is a bit of a risk. But he is there is a chance he's a pretty solid goaltender for a fringe starter. I think we need to address defensively a little bit more. So I think I'm going to go for Ranford here. He might be a terrible defenseman, but might as well add him anyways. Yep, he's pretty terrible. Medium 7th D, offensive defenseman. I don't think he'll become really much of anything. Like, he's kind of like what we kind of already have on our blue line. He'll be in the AHL likely next season. He might pan out to be something, maybe not. But it is what it is. Let's just see if there's any, like, steals potentially here that we could get for these last few picks. Is there anybody with any good statistics? Cad McGinn, no weakness, 5 years out. He is supposed to get drafted. Let's take a chance with this dude randomly. Low bottom 6. Oh my god. That's why I don't really just take a chance out of, like, desperation like that. But, hey, pretty solid shooting. Might be a good AHLer, but that is a rough pick. And then our final pick of this draft, see if we could find any other good piece here. There's another defenseman that might be medium 4, but he'll probably be a really low overall if he is actually medium 4. He's probably going to end up being a low 7th D like these two guys, my guess. This guy's got good shooting for low 7th D, but we already have so much low 7th and medium 7th that I don't really want any of those guys. So let's take a chance with Eric Wilson here. He's a big defender too. Low top 4, okay, I'll take it. Hopefully that some of these low top 4s pan out to be something. Because, I mean, if they end up being something, that will help us out a lot. But other than that, this draft was kind of average. It wasn't the worst draft in the paper. It wasn't the best draft. We got Boys, who obviously is going to help us out a lot. Mason's going to help us out offensively, I think, a lot too. In terms of that depth scoring to further improve it. Because that's the main thing. Obviously, our top line's good, but we need that depth scoring. And then Sonnenberg could become a really solid goaltending prospect. So... and we'll see if those low 4s end up panning out. Since that low 4 was listed as a gem, maybe he ends up being actually a good defender. But it is a long shot that he is actually that good. Okay, let's get our scouts back here. And then we got to get into already signing our boys. Literally, considering we just drafted a guy with the last name Boys. I didn't even mean to say it like that. Oh, man. Okay, so... we got 65 million cap space. Obviously, we're going to sign up everybody here, and there's a good chance most of them will be NHL bound unless they can't play in the NHL. Then some of them might be in the AHL. Like Mason will be in the NHL, I think for sure. McLaren might be on our top 6 pairing next season. And then these other guys, if they are AHL eligible, they might play in the AHL. McGinn isn't AHL eligible. Don't think Ranford is either. No, Ranford is, so Ranford likely does play AHL wise. And then Eric Wilson is not AHL eligible, so he likely gets put back to junior for a year. And then Sonnenberg, he's going to be thrown into the AHL right away, even though he's a 48. Okay, let's just get those guys signed up. I know I'm advancing a day already, but I just want to get those out of the way. Perfect. Okay, so obviously our RFAs here, what are they trying to get? Let's try the 85% trick with Kolsnik. I know he's not necessarily the best defender on paper, but with that medium elite potential, top 4s are going to be asking for quite a bit of money down the road, so it's good to kind of lock him up on a long-term deal. So let me get him signed up here. So he's wanting 7.8. Can we try the 85% trick on him? Because if we could get him for an 8-year deal at this price point, it's definitely worth it. So... because there's going to be top 4s that are going to be asking for this price point during those 8 years. So I think that's a good contract to do. What about Stajan? Oh, baby. Stajan wants barely any money, and he's an 82. I like it. I need to sign him, I think, for an 8-year deal as well. Because he's a perfect third-line center or third-line winger, whatever you want to use him as. And he's not asking for a whole lot, which makes me think he's not going to develop much more, but he's still the prototypical third-liner you want to have on a team. So... I'm going to also lock him up, if I can, for an 8-year deal at a similar price point to what we gave to Sharov. I think that would be okay. And then these other guys, I'm going to have to probably give some of them what they want because I can't qualify them at that price point. Okay, Palin only wants a two-way deal, which is unfortunate. And that means he's probably came to his highest potential. But we'll sign him up for 3 years on a two-way deal. He might be one of the first guys out of this team, which kind of sucks. But we also will sign Pitton up for the AHL because he wants also a two-way deal, which is nice. It's nice when these guys aren't asking for like $3 million as a 66. I am going to let go of probably some UFA AHLers, though. I'll just give these guys what they're asking for, maybe a little bit less. Because obviously I don't want to overpay them too much, but I can't just qualify them nowadays just because they're also going to ask for a lot. Didn't I already offer you a contract? Oh no, it was Palin I offered the contract to. I thought I offered a contract to Mayer already. Yeah, Mayer's the same type of boat. He's going to have to get a 1-year deal. And then these guys would be qualified likely. Unless they're trying to get 15 million. Because some of them I've offered crazy contracts to. I'm going to wait on Antti-Roikko. I wanted to sound like I'm finished. Roikko. Because I know they have that kind of like, you know, sound to their R's when they talk. Husky's going to be proud of me for trying to pronounce that like a Finn. Yeah, we'll just qualify. Actually, what do you want? You probably want a two-way, yeah. Because we need to still have probably some cap whales, my guess, this season. But not as much as in prior years. Same with Rian, or I probably didn't pronounce that as good. Antti-Roikko sounds better though. Roikko, you know. Okay. I probably sound like a complete idiot trying to pronounce Finnish names. You want a two-way deal? We'll give you a 1-year two-way. Why not? Gar we're going to let go of because now we have our 4 goalies, so might as well. And we'll give goalie a 3-year two-way deal because he's not really developing yet. And then these UFAs, I'm going to let every single one of them go for now. I might have to still bring in a cap whale in this episode. We'll see. So we'll let all those guys go and advance today. See if we got anybody on those big contracts, which I think it just said Kolesnik re-signed that 8-year deal, which is phenomenal. Yeah, everybody did sign those. Everybody signed those contracts. Wow, okay. Everybody's happy with this team, I guess. God damn. Because now we have Stajan locked up for an 8-year deal at 1.9 and Sherov for 8 years at 1.875. Tell me how big of a steal that is. If those guys end up being great 3rd/4th liners. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome for sure. Especially considering we need to have like cheaper depth options considering we got Wilm on the team. And he's going to be very pricey once his 8 years end. So I like that a lot. Very happy with those contracts. And then also we did get Kolesnik on that 8-year deal as well. Which might be a lot right now, but as a top 4 defenseman getting 6.65, that's a normal price point. Like in real life, you're seeing guys like Jake Sanders getting $8 million around, right? So that's a pretty good contract. In terms of the rest of these contracts, so let's see. Do we need them? Yeah, we need still a couple cap whales. So we'll give you the 15 million there, Antti-Roikko, and Rianen will give you also a $16 million contract just to keep us a little bit afloat with the cap situation. So that should be everybody's salary rise, right? Yeah, okay. Let's advance to the free agency portion and see if those RFAs accept. Then we'll see if we're needed to still sign any more cap whales for this team, which there is a chance we might need to. Let's go to the proposed trades union and see where we are in terms of the cap floor. We are well below the cap floor. Holy crap, man. I didn't realize we were that low. Maybe we're still waiting on those guys getting to 15 million. Maybe they're just waiting a few extra days. I don't want to go to free agency. I want to look at my contracts. Yeah, maybe they're just waiting a couple extra days here. I didn't realize we're that low on cap. Let's see. Oh, I didn't want to go to free agency again. I want to go my contracts. Goddamn, man. I'm a little bit discombobulated, apparently. Let's see. So, our RFAs, yeah, they're still waiting to get on their $15 million contracts. That's kind of a surprise, but once they sign them, we should be closer to the cap floor. So let's advance 1 day just to see if they accept, which they probably will. Hey, there was a trade alert in the offseason. I don't think I've seen that happen in quite some time. That's actually a pretty big trade. Josh Norris gets traded to Nashville from Ottawa for Askarov in a second. That's not a really unrealistic trade. I don't mind that logic. I don't like that Ottawa's moving Josh Norris already, but if it was for somebody, Askarov's a great goaltending prospect and a second rounder. That's not bad. Not bad at all from a logic standpoint. Our guys still haven't signed yet, but let's look at the coaching staff because somebody was mentioning about maybe looking for coaches this offseason. Let's look and just see if there's anything good coaching-wise that's better potentially for our team. Let's see. There's a 61 already. This guy's good with Sharov, especially good with Ahinen, Wilm, Lehman. Jay Nichols is very intriguing. He's only a B, but he's a defensive coach. Is there anybody that's something more of a generalist that's good too? Or is that 61 actually that good for our team? This guy's a physical coach. Don't really know if I want a physical coach, to be honest. We're not running like a draft glory with physical players only. Yeah, I might have to go for that defenseman coach. At least bring him in as an AHL assistant coach right now and then promote him and see how good he fits our team at the start of the year. So, I think it was Nichols, right? Yeah, it was Nichols. He wants to be an NHL head coach, but we'll go with an AHL assistant coach. And I'm going to just give him a shit ton of money. And he'll probably accept that. And then we'll probably move him over to being a NHL head coach and just seeing how he fits with our chemistry. And if he's much better than the current coach, he'll end up being our NHL head coach. And then we can rework who's the assistants and all that. Most I could give him is 2.18 apparently. So hopefully he accepts that. If he doesn't, we might have to wait a little bit longer for a new coach instead. So there is that dealt with. Let's advance still a few more days, see if our RFAs start accepting. I don't know why they haven't accepted the 15 million qualifying offer yet. Hey, look at that. Nichols accepted. Wow, that was fast. He's like, all this money? I'll take it. Why aren't these RFAs accepting? I need you guys to accept so I could sign some cap whales if need be. They'll probably accept in like August. Oh, there we go. There's Rhiannon. Enjoy the money. And same with Antiroico. I don't know why Antiroico is such a funny name to say. Well, not a funny name. It's a fun name to say. Let's take a look at the cap floor. See how we are now. Do we have... Well, we still need to... What? Didn't I just sign those two guys for 15 million? Or did they give me... is the qualifying offers less than the 15 million? Because maybe that's bugged out. Friggin' Christ, man. Where is Antiroico? I can't remember what his position. Yeah, oh, he did get 15 million, but we're still much under the floor. Somehow. Our cap situation hasn't changed. That's interesting. That might be a bug. Okay, let's just sign a couple players anyways. We need to sign 2 players, 3 players to big contracts. I just want to make sure our cap doesn't get inflated because of not signing enough players contract-wise. There's a 28-year-old. Hey, sir, you want to enjoy a $15 million contract or a $19 million? We'll give 2 guys $19 million, and we should be closer to the floor with that. And then another Finn, because all these Finns could take all of my money. Why not? Boom. Okay, let's advance a few days, get them signed up, and see if we're closer to that floor. Let's see what we're working with. So there's whatever his name is, and there's Yantonin. Those guys accepted. Let's see where we are in terms of the cap floor now. We are above it. Perfect. Just a little tiny bit above it. I will take it. I'll take it. So now we can sim up to next season and get our lines set up and obviously look at all the guys we just drafted in this episode. And yeah, obviously see if that new coach is a better fit for us or not. I hope he is, because it would be nice to have a solid coach this year and maybe get 25-30 wins this year. Since last year was a 20-win season, it was a pretty big jump. This could be a big year for this team. Not necessarily making the playoffs, but making that next step, which would be good. Like, look at Stajan. He's an 84. Well, this is a third-line scoring forward, and we got him on this contract. I love it. I absolutely love it, though. Okay, let's make some roster moves here. Let's make some roster moves and see who needs to be in the NHL, who needs to be AHL, who won't be in either league. So Nikitin's up to a 75. Wow, he developed a lot. And then we have Cameron as a 68. That's the way it's going to be. So it's going to be goalie and Sonnenberg in the AHL, and then Cameron and Nikitin in the NHL. Defensively, because Hivnikov is a 66, medium 7th. McLaren, hey, we have 2 McLarens, I just realized. I wish I had 2 McLaren cars, not just McLaren players. Oh, man. Okay, so those guys both probably 1 year in the AHL might be okay, because I don't know if I really want to send Palin and all that down. They're 70 overall, so I think it's probably best to let these guys have a year in the AHL. That way they could develop a little bit more. And what else do we need in the NHL? We got Ponikarovsky, Smirnov, and Pitton. Is there anybody that shouldn't be in the NHL that is? That's my question. Hervinen. Hervinen is not ours. So we got to call up somebody. So there's Wolniski. Actually, we don't need to call up somebody because maybe we have... maybe some guys are scratched. So I'll send him down. We actually might have to send down a forward in the NHL. Because right now, how much forwards we got? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't want Mason scratched. Mason, I think he'd go back to junior, right? Yeah, you would. That's a tough decision. I feel like he'd benefit probably from playing in the NHL, but maybe a year in junior's not that bad of an idea. Because I would probably rather like Pitton just stay in the NHL for a year and then Mason could wean himself in. Yeah, I think we'll send down Mason to junior. Yeah, we'll send him to junior. So we have 3, 6, 9, and 12. Good. I just don't want anybody being scratched. Okay, that's good. Let's go best lines here and work our lines up to being the way we want it, and then we'll see how the new coach is in comparison. So, Sharov was better at faceoffs than Stajan, so Stajan should be a winger. Petterman, I would rather probably have my top 6 than Stajan, to be honest. I think I might try Stajan still at center, even though he's not that great, just so he can maybe develop his stats a little bit there. So I think we'll end up running with a team like this. Yeah, I think this is going to be our forward core. I could always change Stajan into the top 6 if you guys think I should, but basically it would be Lehman, Wilm, Ahinen, or Lehman, Ahinen, Wilm, I should say. Ponikarovsky, Sharov, Petterman, like last year. Then we have Markov, Stajan, Smirnov, Pitton, Grabowski, and Finley. Yeah, that's the way I think it would be. Pretty solid on paper. Defensively, obviously we got Boyce and Kolsnik, looks good. Dimitra and Mayer, and then Palin and Emelin. I don't like that -3, but obviously with the new coach, when we put him in, maybe I'll change that thing a little bit. And then Nikitin and Cameron, looks good. Gotta make sure our top guys are on the power play still, which they seem to be. Sharov's still on the power play as well, which is nice. I'll put him actually between Stajan and Petterman instead. Yeah, I'm liking the way this team is looking right now. I just got to see, obviously, if the new coach has better chemistry. But this current coach is a decent fit on the offense. Not as much on the defense. So we'll see if this coach can help out our defensive systems a bit and keep the offense. So let's go to our coaching staff here. And we will temporarily move our current head coach, which is LaBarbera, to a goalie coach, which is kind of funny because I think of Jason LaBarbera. And we'll move Nichols to the head coach and see how good it looks on paper. Does it look better than it does with LaBarbera? Let's see. Okay, I like the offense. Chemistry on our first 3 lines and not our 4th line. Defense is back to normal. I think we got ourselves a new head coach here. How about special teams? Looks pretty good. Not so much on the second unit, but that was the same with the other coach. Looks pretty good. Penalty kill also has some positives. Yeah, this is definitely our new coach. So, congrats to this coach. He's going to be our coach for the season, I think. And I think the other coaches will be our alternate. I don't know who I want to demote. Probably the C-. Probably. Nichols, how good of a fit are you actually, though? 62. So, yeah, I'll probably move Yui to AHL assistant coach because he's the lowest potential-wise. We'll move you to NHL associate. I could promote Wallace potentially from the AHL as well. Based on rating at least, or overall wise. I'm not against it. Let's do that as well for something. Also got to take a look at the AHL, make sure the chemistry is good down there. Hopefully it's decent. Okay, that looks good. So that's what our team is going to look like for the season. Let's quickly get the AHL set up properly as well. Make sure our prospects are in their right spots, because obviously we want them developing. So none of those guys are mine, so that's okay. So they should all be in the lineup. So Aiden Rollison's now back in the AHL, which is not great, but he's probably one of these guys that are going to be on his way out soon. Wolniski's down in the AHL after 1 year in the NHL. Or actually, he did play last year all in the AHL. Never mind. Thought he played that last year in the NHL. Watton should be up here on the first line. We want Voloshenko in the top 6 as well because we drafted him. Gortz in the top 6. That's good on the top 4. Defensively, we probably want the top potential to be up there, which it is already, so that looks good. Yeah, that's looking good. And goalie-wise, it looks good too. Okay, perfect. We have everything set up, and chemistry doesn't look too bad either. It kind of sucks that we don't have that +5 anymore top line-wise, but a +4 is still really good, so I'm not going to have any problems with that right now. And Sharov being an 81 now is pretty cool. I hope he's like that at the start of the year too. It's not just a chemistry boost. Okay, final few things we got to do to end off this offseason is take a look at our new guys, and I think that'll pretty much be it. Also, actually, let me take a look at progress reports briefly again. I just want to see if anybody's getting a lot of statistical stuff. Yeah, I think a lot of our guys are getting statistical growth mostly. Yeah, I think it's mostly statistical, which kind of sucks, but hopefully they stay high overall-wise. Let's take a look at those new boys anyways, though. See what they're looking like on the team. And obviously then it'll be it for this episode. And next episode we'll already sim year 5, which is crazy that we're going through this as quick as we are. But let's get to our new players. So starting off with Maddox boys. I think it's the first time I've ever drafted a guy with the name Maddox before. Let's see what his face is looking like. Does he have any cool look to him? Kind of looks like Brock Besser in my opinion. Let's see. Doesn't really have the craziest facial hairstyle. Kind of has some nice spiky hair. Wears number 40. Interesting. Nothing too special. He does have a pretty neat helmet though. Don't see a lot of guys with those true helmets. So I'll take that. Who else we got here that is new in the NHL? Is there anybody else really? I feel like we have pretty much the exact same roster. Yeah, we don't really have anybody else new in the NHL. So I guess we'll have to go down in the system here and see if there is anybody that I wanted to take a look at. So Wolniski was already there, same with Rollison. Kind of sucks to send out Rollison kind of in a way because he's been decent. Jarl Gallagher we saw last year, same with Voloshenko and Gortz. Darcy Watton we saw obviously already. We did not see Daniel McLaren and Ranford, so we got to take a look at what these guys look like. What are these boys looking like? Let's see, Daniel McLaren. It's funny that we drafted 2 McLarens. I didn't even realize that. He's got a little bit of facial hair, some kind of cool hair. Nothing really too special either with him. He's got some nice green laces. I'll give him that. That's probably the coolest thing about him right now. Green skate laces. Love to see it. And then we got the Ranford, Sam Ranford. Probably like a grandson of like friggin' Billy Ranford. Or no, not Billy Ranford. What am I saying? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Ranford, friggin', why can't I remember his name now? I'm gonna sound like a complete idiot. Bill Ranford, yeah, it is Bill Ranford. I was saying Billy though. God damn. I was also thinking of his son Brendan Ranford. But, man, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. He's got a nice stash. That's pretty much it with him. Nothing craziness in terms of look. But hopefully a lot of these guys develop into being something decent for our team. Okay, so that's that. And finally, we got Kalle Sonnenberg, our medium elite goalie prospect that we're hoping gets a lot of growth. I might have rushed him a little bit signing-wise, but I hope that he can just get a shit ton of growth after a year or something like that. And he's got a pretty basic face as well. Looks very confident in himself. What type of gear does he have? Brian's... I think it's like Brian's 0G foam or something like that. I don't even know. Some sort of Brian's pad for sure, though. So there is that, and that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll simulate year 5. We'll see if this team is able to eclipse 20 wins. We'll see if our top line could build off of its last year's success, because obviously now we got to sign Layman to an 8-year deal, so I'll probably do that at the start of next episode. And then obviously we hope for a good second year from Ahinen, and hopefully we can get some good depth scoring as well this season with the addition of boys on the back end helping out things, and also with the growth of guys like Sherov. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.